So an interesting idea floated in the Washington Press. Let's go ahead and put this Politico article up on the screen. This is Politico magazine op-ed here. If Tucker runs in 2024, here's who the Democrats need. This was written by Juliana Glover, who's CEO of a public affairs firm here in D.C., advised Cheney and Rudy Giuliani, Steve Forbes, John Ashcroft. And the person that she floats here is Jon Stewart. And here is the rationale, Saagar. The 2024 presidential race is guaranteed to be a carnival, waged 8 years after former President Donald Trump blew up the whole idea of normal and 4 years after a COVID-shadowed conspiracy fest of a campaign. Stewart is not just one of our most wildly popular comedians. His years hosting the Comedy Central's Daily Show made him one of the effective communicators in public life. That's true. He's living a fairly low-key existence and using his multi-platform showbiz skills to advocate for issues he cares about. So she's basically like, fight showbiz with showbiz.
I mean,
that's an argument you have kind of made here sometimes.
Totally. Yeah, I'm a fan. Although it's not working out with Oz, so maybe you shouldn't listen to me. You know,
I would say Jon Stewart is much more effective than Dr.
I don't disagree. Yeah. Listen, I think Jon Stewart would be a great presidential candidate. I think him and Tucker would be both much more dynamic than what we have actually now.
Tucker has no interest in actually doing this, right? What do you think?
I don't think so. I mean, look, I haven't talked to him in a long time. As far as I know, from what I know about him, I don't think listen, who would want to get put? He already gets what, maybe 50% of what somebody would get if you were to be in it, and it's pretty terrible. Like, you can't really go in public. You have to base, I don't know. It's not a lifestyle that I have any desire to ever be either that famous or that controversial. And when you're in politics, it's basically, I mean, look what happened to Shinzo Abe. He wasn't even the prime minister anymore. And he's got killed because some freak thinks that he was connected to some group or whatever. So I think that Jon would definitely be a strong candidate. The problem is, I don't know if he would win a primary, because he's one of those people who, the Democratic base still trusts the media. And I don't know if they would have the same level of affinity for somebody who is willing to call out so many of like the politicians and most beloved characters, because he went after MSNBC plenty when he was on the air. So that kind of contrarian streak, I don't know if that would be enough in order to win the primary. But I mean, his answer was pretty simple. He was like, no, I'm not going to do that.
We have an answer to keep, we won't keep you in suspense here. Jon Stewart did respond. Go ahead and put this up on the screen. His response was just, no, thank you. So I don't think that is, I don't think the Stewart campaign is forthcoming.
Also, Tucker did that. He was asked that too actually a couple of days ago at Ben Smith's conference, Semaphore. They're like, "Would you ever run?" He goes, "I have no plans to run, and I have no desire to." So
yeah, I think that's. I don't know. I don't see the Tucker. I just have never gotten the vibes that he has that kind of ambition.
I think he enjoys what he's frankly more powerful than most GOP politicians.
Yes. Not to mention, 2024 is going to be Trump. I mean, he's running again. So I don't think that Tucker is going to come in and like challenge Trump from the right. I don't see that.
I mean,
I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
On Jon Stewart, I mean, I do think he'd be a very effective candidate. Obviously, he would know how to handle himself in a debate. I think there are a lot of Democratic voters actually that now would be more open to a critique of the party that perhaps weren't before.
That's true.
It's
possible.
And I think he, while he himself downplays his level of knowledge, he always did at the Daily Show. I'm just a comedian. What do I know? But you can see, especially in his new show, and they actually point to this in this piece, there is a level of depth and engagement on a number of really substantive issues where, I think he would be well prepared to handle himself. And I think it is a sign of the times that someone like him could be seriously floated, having obviously zero government experience, but that's just been taken off the table as a disqualifier at this point.
I think that should be. I mean, I don't think you have to necessarily have government experience.
I agree.
He's got a requisite level of fame. The real question is like, would he want to subject himself to the problems with politics, given that he spent his whole life talking and exposing exactly why it's all corrupt? And having to put yourself in the gauntlet when you've spent years pointing out how horrific the gauntlet is, that's a difficult choice for a lot of these people to make. That's why I think personally the incentives never aligned. But I mean, listen, I think he'd be a great candidate. I would love to see it personally for the country. I think it'd be very healthy, but I don't think it would interpersonally line up for him.
Yeah, it's also an interesting dynamic on the Democratic side where there's a lot of critique of Biden. You have, 94% of young people saying young Democrats saying we need another nominee. You have historic numbers saying we need a third party. You have 64% of the Democratic base saying they'd rather have someone other than Biden. And yet, in terms of mainstream Democrats, I mean, they've all ruled it out. Like all the, the Pritzker and the Fetterman and the Newsom and whatever, like the flirtations with the sort of like establishment Democratic politicians, they're all like, no, we'll take a pass, we're gonna defer. So, anyway, it's an interesting moment. Jon Stewart taking himself out of contention, so I don't think it's gonna happen, but I do think it says a lot about our politics that something like that could be a feasible possibility and I think would be taken seriously, and I think he'd be a very formidable candidate.
Oh, I definitely think that's right. Okay.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. More for you later. Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.